In the news this week, the Lancet sparks outrage by denigrating women on the cover of its latest edition. As drugs deaths rise, the Scottish Government turns a blind eye to the possession of heroin and cocaine. And the BBC appoints its first ever children's presenter with Down syndrome. Hello. The UK's leading medical journal has been criticised for its latest front cover, which refers to women as bodies with vaginas. Academics and doctors did not hide their anger, with some cancelling their subscriptions and stepping down as reviewers. Dr. Madeline Nidorley raged, "How dare you dehumanise us with a statement like this?" Retired psychiatrist Professor David Curtis described it as absolutely inexcusable language to refer to women and girls. Speaking in support of the reality of biological sex, Debbie Hayton, a man who lives as if he is a woman, said, "Gnosticism may be alluring, but it is ultimately futile. We are our bodies." The journal's editor-in-chief, Richard Horton, subsequently issued an apology to readers who were offended. Scotland's top lawyer has said possessing highly dangerous drugs such as cocaine and heroin should no longer be treated as a serious criminal offence. Dorothy Bain QC told Holyrood that officers who catch people with Class A drugs can now issue a warning rather than pursue a prosecution. Former Chief Superintendent Tom Buchan said, "This is a surrender. The white flag has gone up. It will have no benefits at all, and it comes in the middle of a huge drugs emergency." And Scottish Conservatives leader Douglas Ross called the plan reckless and accused the SNP of effectively pursuing the decriminalisation of drugs. The Institute's Kieran Kelly warned of the inevitable consequences of the change in approach.
Cocaine, heroin, these are highly dangerous illegal drugs, and turning a blind eye won't address the harms associated with drug dependence or the misery it causes. In fact, it's going to do quite the opposite. Drug-related deaths are already at record highs in Scotland, and this policy is a green light to ruin yet more lives, more families, and more communities.
Legalising assisted suicide in England and Wales would have catastrophic consequences for the most vulnerable in society, opponents have warned. Palliative care experts Baroness Finlay and Professor Rob George, along with disability rights campaigner Tanni Gray-Thompson, voiced their concerns as Baroness Meach's assisted dying bill is set to be debated in the House of Lords later this month. Former Paralympian Baroness Gray-Thompson said, "Life is hard enough for disabled people. We don't need a law that would effectively invite us to line up our wheelchairs on a cliff edge and push ourselves off." Lady Finlay argued it was unreasonable to expect hard-pressed NHS doctors to detect coercion, abuse or exploitation of vulnerable people who request drugs to kill themselves. And Professor George, a consultant in palliative care, said the removal of end-of-life protections would mean that every conversation with a dying person would change. Death would become a treatment to discuss. And finally, George Webster has made history as the BBC's first children's presenter with Down syndrome. Reflecting on his debut as host of CBeebies House, George said, "I just felt really positive and excited and happy to get going." George's mum said, "I was blubbing 1 minute and smiling the next. I just love his work ethic and his positivity. We always say George's days are all 10 out of 10 because he makes them like that." Earlier this year, George sought to dispel myths associated with Down syndrome in a short film for BBC Bitesize, including thinking that they are always happy but cannot live independently. He also laid down an important challenge.
People without Down syndrome can make the world more inclusive by not judging us, making assumptions of us, because we exist. And we need to be treated equally and with respect.
Well, that's all for this week. For regular updates and information on all of our stories plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.